Good morning and welcome to our weekly live broadcast, the show that we've been starting to bring to you for a while now. As is usual, we'll have three segments again in the show, and my name is Frank Steffen. I'm obviously the editor of Tourismus Namibia and hope to bring you a couple of news items as well as a few holiday ideas and then finally an interview. But before we move on, let's quickly have a look at what the market says. Right, topics. We've again, I picked out three news items again. I think one of the more interesting news items this week was the NEEN. That's the Namibia Environmental Education Network. It was introduced by the Minister of Environment and Forestry and Tourism, Pohamba Shifeta. In the photo there just now, there you see a couple of the people who were involved. On the left was Mrs. Ellen Gold, charge d'affaires of the German embassy, and right on the right hand side there you can see Dr. Clemens van Dordera. He's of the Hans Seidel Stiftung, and then obviously there is still the Commissioner of Environment and so on. But the idea that I'm trying to bring across here, this is clearly about education. This is the national policy on environmental education, and then furthermore the education for sustainable development. Now, as part of one of the people who was there also was Dr. Alex Armstrong from UNDP. They support these sort of efforts, and like I said, Hans Seidel Stiftung and the German Development Corporation, the GIZ. They all involved in that, and what it basically boils down to, they've now put down a policy, and that policy goes deeper into coordinating the network, because most of these guys have already been involved for quite some time in various educational programs. So the idea is now to get it all together, to coordinate the different aspects that Nadit, for example, has, and then what is it? The other one is Desert Research Foundation of Namibia and so on. So all these programs need to follow more or less the same guidelines and the same approaches, because the idea is to invest in young people, so that the whole idea of understanding what environment and the sustainability of it all, to get that idea across to the young people so that it becomes part of who we are and what we are. Really quite a laudable effort there. And then I picked out an item which possibly is not only tourism related, but I found it was interesting because the Ministry of Trade this week met with the Manufacturing Association. Obviously you had Mr. Brian Black there, and Lucia Impumbu, the Minister of Trade, was there, and then you also see there on the right hand side Klaus Schade. All these guys got together, and what we've got there is they want to centralize the functions in how you can register a business, and not only centralize it, it needs to become a one-stop shop. So instead of going through all the motions of going to the Ministry of Trade and then thereafter going to Social Security and the next, what they now try and do is they try to integrate this whole process so that you can come to a point where you visit one station only. It should also start to be available on the internet. So the they're busy introducing it right now, and I think even for tourism, this could be the way to go, because obviously when you want to register a new business, it's always a schlep. So it would be nice to ease that process. I remember that they've previously looked at it, and so it's nice to see that there's some movement going on there. And then the final one that I wanted to bring to you, which I found was interesting, was as from next year, the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism wants to introduce a levy. All park access fees will include that levy, and that money will be managed by the Ministry of Finance. And the idea being for these funds to be used for the maintenance of some of the infrastructure in these parks and whatever else you've got that basically facilitates our tourism industry. So the minister actually made it quite clear that it is likely to be a fee that will be in line with what the market dictates generally in Southern Africa. So hopefully at the end of the day it won't hit your pocket too badly. Now those were our main topics this week. And next we've got our destinations, which will be together with Chloe Durr. But before we go there, let's just quickly look into the marketplace again. Welcome back. As you can see, we are now joined by Chloe Durr, who obviously writes for Tourismus Namibia. Welcome in the studio.
Thank you, Frank.
And has become habit, we obviously would like to introduce you to a couple of nice holiday ideas, give you something else to think about instead of always driving down the same routes. We've got so much more. And in this case, actually, we're going beyond the borders.
I think hopefully borders will open soon. So if you are you should be planning to come to Namibia, actually taking the coastal route is a great alternative. Yeah. So I think we'll just be touching on a few of those today. But starting with Alexander Bay, I mean, I found it very sad to see how mining can actually destroy a perfectly beautiful town. And it was actually discovered in the 1960s and was believed to be the place of copper, but then in the 1920s diamonds were found, and so it was just completely and utterly taken to pieces to try and find those diamonds. And if you want,
so they actually found them in the town itself?
Well, on the coastline, because the Orange River mouth opens there. And for me, I mean, it's you can see there, that's one of the derelict beaches that I managed to find, which shows remnants of the diamond rush,
and
similar
you always
to Coleman's
see that down the whole coast, eh?
But it's very sad to see how destroyed the coastline is, and it's just historical, really, of a time where the diamond boom, and then once all the diamonds were gone, people vanished, and so that it is almost like a ghost town, a functioning ghost town, but a ghost town nonetheless. Yeah. And it was just quite poignant because on my entire journey up from Cape Town, the presence of mining and coastal mining and everything was such a common theme. And just to end off the journey with kind of the mass destruction of or the remnants of that kind of intensive mining was quite incredible. But
it's pretty much something that you also see in the Spergebiet, because what literally happens is they've got to take the basic sand away, the topsoil away, to get right down to the and sift it, and they don't stop before they don't reach rock bottom, literally rock bottom. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's one of those very eerie, kind of fascinating places to visit. Yeah. But it just, it was quite poignant for me too.
What is always sad is that in those years, more so than today, but I think even today it is so, that they're not being forced to just remove that whole dirt and building rubble and whatever is there. I mean, it's always nice to see the photo of these old buildings, but then by the same token, here, like you can see this fence and so much other stuff is lying around, which
and obviously
really is
not in operation at all. So it really is just damaging the coastline. Yeah. But yeah, I think actually the next thing I wanted to speak about was a little bit of the dune rehabilitation, which I did see along the coast, which I think we'll discuss next. But yeah, it's just an eerie piece of history, really. But as I continued along the coast, you know, you constantly see these this mining on the shores, and then I was happy to see that there was dune rehabilitation taking place to try and prevent another Alexander Bay.
Right, that takes care of Alexander Bay, and then you went on to?
Yeah, I just wanted to cover a little bit about the dune rehabilitation that I saw as I continued along. Actually, just a nice tip to throw in here. Most of the coastal journey from Cape to Karas is along the coast, but not as close to the shore as one would hope. But the Saldanha Railway, if you get a permit, you're able to drive along it. And anyway, just you can see here, all of this coastal mining is happening because there are still diamonds in the deep sea. Deep sea diamond diving is a huge...
diving now,
yeah. And so what was nice for me to see was, even though this isn't great to see on the shorelines, especially not just right outside of the Namaqualand National Park, they are rehabilitating the dunes that that are being destroyed in the process, which is hopeful. Because, as I said, to try and prevent that entire coastline from being damaged is...
yes, exactly what you meant.
Yeah, and so that was pleasing for me to see, although obviously we would like to see that kind of thing in Alexander Bay as well. In Oranjemund, I did see quite a lot of dune rehabilitation as well, which is great.
I suppose these sails are being put in there so that the wind doesn't all carry it away, so that
I think so. I couldn't quite work out exactly what it was.
I'm not sure it is that,
yeah, but it was pleasing to see that. And then just another coastal town was Port Nolloth, which was actually a fantastic place. I absolutely fell in love with it, just because actually of my experience meeting George Moyers, who's the he is the curator of the museum, which was unfortunately closed at the time. But he has fantastic life story. One of my favorite things about traveling is just being able to sit and talk to some of the people who really lived the area. I mean, he was a diamond diver, and he's lived the high life, the low life, everything that comes. He's done it all. I mean, he's been sucked into diamond tubes and all sorts of things. So
you can see he's a bit of a
but he has a heart of gold. I mean, he was walking barefoot in the town, and I honestly, we connected as if he was my grandfather. And just hearing his stories of you know the instability of being a diamond diver, and on the one hand, and the risk, major risk. But anyway, just as you're seeing here, this is Port Nolloth. I mean, this is McDougall's Bay, which is about 2 kilometers away from Port Nolloth, and we camped there at the McDougall's Caravan Park, which actually was right on the shore. And a beautiful setting, really. I mean, outside of the Namaqualand National Park, you don't really get to camp on the sea. Not shoes of choice for the trip. Quite funny, but
that's why I started laughing.
But George had also lived in McDougall's Bay for a long time, and I think there's always a sense of nostalgia when you actually are able to connect with a town because of a person's experience.
Yeah, because he can actually tell you what it is all about.
But actually, an interesting fact really was Bartholomew Dias. Port Nolloth was the last point where he had visited before the storm took him out to sea, and so he was actually there long before James Alexander had discovered the bay. So it actually has a very deep history.
Is there actually a cross?
I couldn't find it, but there is a cross. I believe actually the cross is closer to Alexander Bay though, but there is a connection with the Luderitz and with the whole Dyer's Point and everything, because obviously that was the coast that Bartholomew had been traversing. So interesting. There's always a link. I mean, like you always say, borders mean nothing actually, and
well, the big thing is we decided there's a border just because, well, if I say we, obviously our forefathers, but and this is really what we're aiming at as Tourismus Namibia. we would want you to come to Namibia, and not only come to Namibia, but actually have an experience coming here. So you'll see more and more that we try and introduce you to different approaches, whether that be via Botswana, whether that is from Zimbabwe in towards the northeast and so on. So hang on, we're busy having quite a nice program set up in that regard.
And after experiencing the coastal journey to Namibia, I don't think I'll ever drive that monotonous tar road ever again.
I've long stopped doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So
anyway, so there are a couple of new ideas. Thank you for coming in, and let's see what we bring you next week. Right, welcome back. Today we decided we wanted a different interview for a change. So on the line I've got Mr. Faustin Munanga. He's a freelance tour guide. Hi Faustin, can you hear me?
Yes, hi, how are you?
Yeah, no, fine. And thank you for making the time to actually appear on our show. And clearly, yes, what we would want is to hear from you. You clearly said that things are not going well for freelance people at the moment. Do you want to tell us a bit about it?
Thank you so much for giving us this wonderful opportunity to express ourselves.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
As you know, tourism industry, from December to March, April, it's always a low season for us.
Yeah.
So there are no more tour for a guide, especially those working as a freelancers.
Yeah.
And we were facing already the issue of the low season. And suddenly from March, all the tours we had have been cancelled completely because of the issue of COVID-19.
Yeah.
So, which is really understandable. Now, when you take in consideration from December, January, February, March, there was no tour, and then came the lockdown. Until today, there was nothing for provision when it comes for tour guides, especially freelancers.
Yeah, and this is a real issue. There's no net to that catches you. So how have you survived it this time?
To survive is a very serious question. Right now I'm talking to you. We have got more than 500 guides and drivers who are working as a freelancers. They have got no income. When the government put in place the process of getting some money from the Social Security and the 750, so this category didn't qualify. They were not able to go and get the 750, or they were not able to go and get the money from the Social Security, which was stipulated that only those getting, if more, 50,000 per year.
Wow.
So until now, there is no any provision to assist financially the tour guide and driver.
So you guys were not considered as part of that drive that they had recently by the ministry, where they said everybody who's part of a conservancy, you don't fall under that sort of category where they try and assist you.
Unfortunately, we were not considered. And we have no idea. I'm the one talking to you right now. 2 days ago, there was a conference, there was a video conference where the partner in the industry were to express themselves when it comes to the issue of opening the borders. And I was the one even asked the question to Mr. Digu, who's the CEO of NTB. Is there a way to register the guide? Is there a way to assist the guide? His answer was clear, NTB cannot assist. So right now, the guide can only turn to Social Security. And when you go to Social Security, we are not in that category which can receive that help.
Sure. And tell me, in your example, for example, how many kids do you have?
Personally, I've got 2 kids, and I've got other members of the family with me.
So
Which means, if I give you an example, one guide, only one guide, if we put minimum, is helping at least 5 to 6 people. So if you take now 500 multiplied by 5 people, for each guide there's a minimum.
suddenly you've got a
Now,
huge crowd.
the exact number of people who are affected for this issue.
Yeah. And there is simply no address you can turn to. Tell me, did you guys have a talk to banks maybe and stuff like that?
We are part of those trying to find solutions. There is not any bank who's willing to assist us. On the contrary, we are on the wrong side with the bank, because some are still paying for houses, some are still paying for cars, and the bank is not willing to understand, you know.
Yeah.
We don't know what will happen within few months.
So have you heard anything? When will they start opening the borders? Have you heard any news?
We have no idea when the borders will open. So
Okay.
Mr. Digu was clear. He said that everything is in the hand of the government. It's only the government who can decide to open the borders, and government have got their own criteria to allow them to open the borders. So
Yeah.
we hope one day they will be willing to open the borders, but even if they open those borders, we leave the responsibility in the hand of the government, considering also the safety of the Namibian population. But at the same time, all we are asking is to see in which way government can assist the guide and drivers who are freelancers. Because these are people carrying the responsibility, selling Namibia, taking the responsibility from the 2 operators. If you have got guide who are not qualified, drivers who are not qualified to do that job, I don't think Namibia will be at the place where it is right now when it considers tourism industry. Because guide and drivers are doing a very good job. Unfortunately, no one was talking about the guide on this crisis. They've completely forgotten who are the first one, even if the borders have to open, who are the first one who gonna deal with the issue of COVID-19. Because these are people who are gonna take again the client out there to show them Namibia, despite the risk of COVID-19.
Yeah.
But now, there is no assistance from any organization, private or government, nothing.
Well, let's see. Like I said, this is a public show, and maybe there's somebody who will listen to your appeal, and hopefully we might find a solution. I personally don't have one, I'll be quite honest about it, but at least this way your plight has become known. So let's hope and pray that there is a solution in the coming.
Thank you so much. Let's hope someone who can hear what you are talking about. It's not about me, it's about all the colleagues in the industry.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk to them, you feel what they're going through.
Yeah.
My fear is that they might reach a point where they will feel that there is no help coming, and then I don't want to talk about them reaching the case of suicide or whatever, but it's a scary situation. Believe me, it's a scary situation when you are talking to them. You see the reactions. It's like people don't have any more hope. Can really government see how they can assist these categories?
Right. So thank you for making time to speak to us, and hopefully you'll let me know very soon that something has happened as a result of this talk. So all the best to you, and I hope you find a solution forward.
Thank you so much for your assistance.
Okay.
We really appreciate. And as soon as we get the feedback, you'll be among the first one to know about it.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, have a nice day.
Welcome.
Okay, ciao.
Bye.
Well, there you've heard it. Not easy for these people because there really is no way out. So let's hope that somebody is listening to this conversation today and hopefully get some help for these people. And that's what the show is all about. The show is obviously about the good news, but it is also a platform for the tourismus industry out there to hear of each other and to exchange news and find out what's going on in the various parts of this country. So hopefully we can play a bit of a helping hand in this regard. Thank you for watching. Next, we still have our picture of the week. You will see there, this time it's of the Sesrim Canyon, and it's been sent in by Mr. Bush. You can clearly see this is beautiful. I mean, this is the sort of thing you saw this year again. Hasn't been around for a while with all the drought and stuff going on. There you can see how it is when the Tsauchap has actually brought some water down into the Sesrim, and hopefully then always leading right down to the Sossos. I've seen the Sossos with water and I've seen it without water. Both are majestic sites. So yeah, this is really a very nice area down in the Namib. With that, we come to the end of the show. Thank you for watching. Yes, this might have been a bit different at the end now, but I trust you still understand that the show is not only about the good news, but also about the sad news, and always with hope that we can sometimes help each other. So thank you for watching, and I trust you have a very nice weekend. Bye.